lifers, PJ here, and welcome to Midlife Models. This is going to be the first actual full-ish restoration I do, from ruined to refreshed. Now, some time ago I built a Rover Airfix model, which is this, and this is a Land Rover long wheelbase. I spent a lot of time on it, quite pleased how it turned out. But when I went down to my parents and had a rummage around for old vehicles that I'd got, I found this. Now this is a Lesney, made in England, Matchbox number 12 Land Rover Safari. Now, as you can see, hopefully, there we go, as you can see, it's got something missing off the top, which I think is a canopy, but I'm not too sure without checking it out. And it was painted in a light blue, looks like a sky blue colour. So I'm not going to do a complete original restoration. What I'm looking to do is to try and recreate the colour scheme from this Rover Airfix kit. So let's crack on and get started. So as always, the first thing we're going to start with is removing the head of the rivet. So let's do that. Okay then, so this is what we're left with. I'll drill a little bit deeper, and now we can ease off the base of this Land Rover. That's interesting. This is a plastic chassis. To approach that slightly different. We've got a moulded interior. We'll flip that out. And hopefully that'll come up nice and clean after it's been washed in some detergent or soapy water. I'll give that a clean. And then inside we're left with a glass plastic interior for the windows. I'm just going to see if I can ease that out. I don't want to risk damaging it. That was a nasty crack. Hooray. Okay, so the first thing we need to do with this is to give this a wash. I don't know if it can be picked up on the camera, but there is a good airline scratch in there and on the side. We'll see what we can do with that with some plastic polish. So we're going to put our Volunteer into our glass jar, cover it up with some boiling water. And I'm going to be using these little medicine measuring cups. I've got about 15 ml of caustic soda in there, which we're going to add, and of course I'm wearing the obligatory plastic gloves. With the sound of the window opening. And already you can see the water changing colour as the body reacts to the caustic soda and the paint starts to peel itself away. Okay, welcome back. You saw in the last clip that we'd dipped our body, not literally, the body of this Land Rover, into some caustic soda, and as you can see from the outside it completely stripped the paint away, so 100% removal. On the inside there's still some remnants hanging about, but that'll come good once we start to treat it with the wire brush. The body's come up, the interior seats and steering wheel come up nice and clean, so I'm happy with that. The glass, yeah, we're going to have to give that a bit of a polish with some plastic polish. I'm going to try some K2 lamp doctor, I think it's called. It was recommended by Rob from Matchbox Makeovers. Sorry, Matchbox Garage. Sorry, Rob. So we'll have a go with that. The chassis, I can now make out what it says: made in England by Lesney, Matchbox series number 12, Land Rover Safari. So while it's come up a lot cleaner, I'm undecided as to what to do with it. Yeah. The interior is spotless. Goodness knows how old this model is. It's pre-70, I would have thought, because it's a number 12. The wheels, yeah, we're still going to have to take them off, I feel, and what I'm hoping to do is, where's my pointy device? I'm going to paint the outsides with a black tyre wash, and the inside and the wheel hub, as it represents, I want to paint white, so it follows the same kind of colour scheme as my Revel model. So anyway, the next step I feel is going to be to clean up this body and to drill and tap the posts. I've had to order a couple of M2 taps. If you watch one of the previous videos, you'll see where I had a bit of misfortune and broke the last one I used. Welcome back. We're set up with our Parkside rotary tool. I don't want to call it a fake Dremel, it is their own brand, and they're fairly cheap, and they're good enough to do what I want to do with these models. What I will say is, you get through no end of these wire brush attachments, so once you take up this hobby, be prepared for spending some money to keep up your stock of these little items. So what we'll do is we'll have a go at clean up the roof of this Land Rover, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. So there you go. If you look at the oxidisation on the front, a few seconds with the rotary tool and it's back to shiny. Okay, welcome back. After a 5-minute session with the rotary tool, we've got this this body of this Land Rover back to shiny, and as you can see, by removing the paint, it's starting to show a lot more detail. Door handles, filler cap, body panel lines. We've even got a registration plate on there, NMH449. Door handle, indicators. I don't like catching that terribly, but down there's a little disc. And on my bigger scale plastic model, that's a Land Rover badge. So we're going to have to try and paint that a light blue. I was going to leave the next clip of this restoration until tomorrow. However, I was inspired, or curious, it's probably more the word, to see how effective this K2 Lamp Doctor Professional paste to restore clarity of headlights is. So what we did, if you remember, I mentioned previously that I'd washed these plastic interiors in soapy water. So I did that, and I thought, well, they're clean, but the bodies, this actual body of these, this body panel of windows, this interior section, was still pretty scuffed up. So I thought we'd have a go with this Lamp Doctor, and as you can see, there we go, that has come up really well. Still a few fragments, give me, of the polish in the corners, but I'll get out. And just to show you, for saying that the detergent is supposed to clean the plastic, just look at the grime that's come off of this plastic polish. I'm really impressed with that. And again, a shout out to Rob at Matchbox Garage, who was using this stuff in some of his early videos that I picked up on, and I thought, yeah, I'll have a go with that. It's not readily available. I had to search for it on eBay. but it's done the job. And one of the next recommendations for these glass interiors, plastic interiors, is to dip them in floor polish. So I've brought some floor polish. It's almost like a creamy, murky liquid, and all you do is drop this section into the floor polish, give it a dip, put it onto a tissue and let it dry, preferably in a dust-free environment. I'm going to be using Tamiya light grey surface primer, so let's give this a shot and we'll see what it comes out like. That's come out pretty well. Already we can see all the highlights on the fittings and fixtures. Just notice a bit missing that. But there you go, there's our priming done. Welcome back, lifers. So finally, after many trials and tribulations with this Land Rover, we've managed to get to a part where I can start to reassemble it. So just to recap, we've cleaned up the plastic windows interior, we've washed the seats, we cleaned the plastic base. What I've done since then is to blackwash the wheels and then paint the interiors with a white gloss, and then to cap it off, just a bit of black gloss on the end of the wheel axles. You'll remember that the original version of this was a flat, a shabby sky blue colour with most of the paint missing, and this has caused me quite a bit of grief. 3 attempts I ended up having at spraying this model, mainly down to the airbrush that was leaking all over the place. But finally I managed to get it done. I used an Evolution airbrush, which I'll show you on another video, and a chrome pen, which that in itself caused issues. However, so this is what we've ended up with. We've ended up with the white top, the olive green body paint, we've highlighted the indicators, grille, lights, and then on the reverse the indicators and even a little blue Land Rover badge. Also just capped it off with some silver paint on the bumpers. So we're going to be looking at reassembling this now. The first thing is to drop in the canopy. There we go. Second part, the interior, which now sits nice and snug. Finally, we need to locate the 2 pins at the rear and drop it back over the post hole. I've had delivered some M2 bolts, So at some point I may paint that black, we'll see, I haven't decided yet. I don't think these are magnetic. Let's see if we can get it started by hand. It's an obvious thing to state, but working with these models, the parts are all so small to work with that they in themselves can cause you some frustrations. What I mainly learned from starting this hobby is you've got to have patience. Let's give that a tighten up. And finally, there she is, back together. I'm really happy with the way that this come out. The white roof really goes well with the white interior as well. So I've got a bit of a makeshift turntable. We'll put it on there and see if we can get some close-up shots.